Now the population in Remba changes, doesn't it? At certain times there's only about 4,000 or 5,000, and then it really swells to how many?
Right now it's at its highest that it's been probably ever. It's about 10,000 people right now. It changes a lot depending on where the fish are in the lake, and also the fishing season. At some points the fish are the fishing is closed. So people will go back to their rural homes to farm or go to other places on the lake. And some people will be there for a day or two, some people will be there for months or even years. But the thing about Remba is no one really considers it their home, which makes it a challenging place for these types of projects. People are always there just for work, and if they have extra money, then they'll invest it back in their rural homes.
What are some of the right things that you see that are happening with Rotary being involved, and maybe let's say specifically in Remba? Some of the right things that are going, and people are going in the correct direction as far as solving some of these huge health issues, as opposed to some of the things that maybe in the past, whether it be in Remba or other projects that you've known, maybe have been the wrong ways to approach things. Explain a little bit about that you see, the positive aspects.
Right. Well, I think on Remba Island, and the approach that Rotary takes is really good, because the solutions really come from the community. So the organization that I work with in Kenya, Partners in Community Transformation, and I'm the treasurer of that organization. We're based in Kenya, and we've been working with that community on Remba Island for the last several years. And so we had time to really find out what's going to work on Remba Island. And Rotary or WASRAG didn't try and develop a plan from here in the U.S. and say, okay, this is what you should do there. A lot of other people did try and tell us, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, and none of them had been to Remba Island. And so Rotary sent a team of experts to Remba Island to actually see the situation on the ground and work with us, who had already been there for years, to come up with what's going to be the long-term solution. And I think that's a great thing about Clear Rounds for Clean Water. You're raising money for these projects, but you're not trying to tell us this is how you have to run the project.
One of the right things that I know had to have been done was the project with the LifeStraw. Talk a little bit about how that was just kind of a stopgap instead of the permanent solution. Okay.
So LifeStraw, the way we started with that project was actually a couple of very generous people from Texas came over and saw Remba Island themselves. And when they went back, they saw the HIV program because they had been donating money to that. But then they also saw, what about all the water sanitation issues, which our HIV program couldn't address because we didn't have funding for that. So they wanted to do something right away because they saw the need was right away. And so that's when we started with the LifeStraw project, providing one of these fisherman filters to every fisherman, the personal filter to every fisherman, and then a larger filter to every household. And they work very well. Once the water goes through here, if someone uses water through one of these filters, they're not going to have diarrhea, basically.
I saw a couple of great shots that you sent me that had a couple of kids with their LifeStraws around their necks.
Yeah.
You know, playing in the field, and then that was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
And so for a place like Remba Island, it was perfect because it's very fast to implement. They're easy to use, and you see diarrhea rates drop immediately. For the long term, we weren't sure if it would work for the long term for Remba. One issue is you need to replace them after a while.
They last about what, a year? Maybe with an
these ones I think last about a year, and then the family filter is about 3 years or more. So it was possible we could find an ongoing funding source to keep replacing them, but we wanted to see if that was really going to work in the long term. So we evaluated it over a 1-year period, looking at uptake and usage and satisfaction and diarrhea rates. And the problem with Remba is the population is so transient that people would take them when they left the island, and new people who came on the island didn't have them. So after
Sure, and I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
If I was leaving, I wouldn't leave my LifeStraw behind and say, thank you. Now I'm going to another place where the water's just dirty and I'm sure going to miss that. Of course I would take it with me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So after about a year, only about half the people were using LifeStraws regularly for their water. And so we've been replacing them, but really realizing that it's not going to be the long-term solution for Remba. And so that's why WASRAG has been helping us come up with this other option.
Right. Yeah, very interesting. And again, I have to turn around and say, because I know you're so familiar with other projects, especially that WASRAG is doing, or that Clear Ounce for Clean Water has funded themselves, and that is the LifeStraw is great, but you've got to have the water.
Right.
We've already funded places where literally there is no water within miles and miles and miles, and you've got a child or a woman who is walking maybe 6 or 7 hours a day with the 3-pound or the 40-pound, 3-gallon jerry can on their head just to get water for that one day, and then to turn around and do it again the next day. So this is a beautiful instrument and it's life-saving. But if you've got no water that you can suck through it, it's out of luck. It's a completely useless tool. So again, that talks more towards your point of when the experts come and give you a plan, it's the really good part about the plan is the Rotary Action Group, because they've been there.
Yeah.
They're not just sending you a pamphlet of this saying, try this.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, they are boots on the ground and they know their situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of salespeople within water and sanitation, and each of them have their own favorite technology, and some of them try to have you apply it anywhere without seeing the situation. And so it's something to keep in mind that the same thing doesn't work everywhere.
Solutions are only good for certain situations.
Yeah.
You can't just do a blanket thing. I can't make a donation and just say, here, give everybody a LifeStraw.
Right.
It's got to go really to an organization like yours, like mine, that knows exactly where it should go to. So maybe the LifeStraw is what can do it for a while, but something completely different is needed over here.
Right.
One of the things that I want to express again is that we have a major horse show coming up in September of this year. The 14th through the 18th, it's the Texas Rose Classic in Tyler, Texas, at the beautiful Texas Rose Horse Park. And it's an A show. It's beautiful. It's 5-6 days of rolling hills. It's a beautiful area. I hope someday that you can come out and see it while you're here.
Yeah.
And please join us for 2 or 3 ringside events. We will be there. We're going to have silent auctions with all sorts of things that are donated from friends of yours, from friends of mine that are people who are all over the world, because riders and equestrians get around too, and these things, they're important to them. So we're hoping to have some great fundraising events.